Alright, so today on the Design Dungeon, we're doing something a little bit different. We're talking about a game series for once, and it is the Dragon Age series. It is quite venerable. It's been around for the better part of a decade.
No, it has been a decade. Origins came out in 2009.
That it did. Yep, it was made by BioWare, and this was before they got, eaten by EA. We'll get to that a bit later, though.
Well, I thought they were part of EA during this period of time, actually.
I think they did so just before they got put into EA.
At least just Origins, then.
Yeah, it was Origins that predates EA.
All right, I didn't know that
There you
actually.
know.
And you'll start to Well, yeah, of course it predates EA, because it's the one that's the most complete and without any developmental issues.
Well,
Of course.
Definitely be covering.
well, Origins is the best.
Yeah. So let's start off with Origins. It was done by BioWare's Edmonton branch. They did Neverwinter Nights and Jade Empire prior to it. Development started in 2002, and like Stargazer said, it's released in 2009. It was done on their own engine, the BioWare engine. It may sound like an obvious thing, but we're gonna also put a pin in that too, because oh man, things get a bit complicated later down the line. Generally, it was well received. It was praised for its storytelling. And let's get a synopsis about that. Star, if you don't mind taking away for the story, because you probably are far more familiar with it.
The age of dragon has come. Beasts have been arising. The Darkspawn have returned. And the Grey Warden's time to be effective in the world comes up. And our Warden, the next line of the Grey Warden organization, must go on a journey to save Ferelden from the Darkspawn. But they're unfortunately betrayed by Loghain early in. This is where your story takes place.
Yeah, and they basically have to rebuild the Grey Wardens and slay the Archdemon, which either results in them dying or somebody else dying.
Yeah, that too.
It should also be noted that depending on how you build your character, you'll get a different starting situation.
There are 14 starting locations, I want to say. 12 to 14.
Yeah, there are quite a few. So, yeah, that's the story, and it's really well put together. The lore is deep, the characters are memorable, and we'll definitely be getting to them. There's just a lot to like about Origins, except maybe the visuals, which we'll also cover in a later segment.
I would say DA2 probably the best visuals of the franchise. As
slightly
of character
disagree.
sense. Are you going to say
Slightly
Inquisition?
disagree. Yeah, I prefer Inquisition, because it just
don't-
kind of feels...
Everyone
It
has
feels
rubbery
like
hair, though. That's my issue with that.
I just think that Inquisition's where it found its voice. But again, Inquisition has its own segment.
I don't dislike Inquisition, but I guess we'll get to that when we get to that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So-
considering I only play Dragon Origins, I can only say Origins is my favorite because obviously the only one I have.
So gameplay. Gameplay is very traditional as far as computer RPGs go, except for the fact that you can actually play it in third person, though it's not the optimal way to play this version of Dragon Age, because you do need to pause and strategize and all that good stuff. And you'll inevitably have to pull up the menu to heal your party.
I play this game like an RTS, honestly.
If you're
Yeah.
trying to strategy a thing, this game's for you.
Mm-hmm. Personally, I prefer playing in third person, but I know that it's not the optimal way of playing it. That said, there's a lot of character customization, a lot more than its later iterations, or at least as far as I know, Inquisition. Because there's stat spreads, there's a whole bunch of character specializations, And that's not even counting the DLC and add-ons that you get later on. Like, there is a lot of good stuff that gives your character a lot of customization. Not just the main character, but also the secondary characters. They're also pretty dang good.
In the base game, you had a max level of 20, and by the end of it, you had a max level of 30 with all the DLC counted for.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
So many
very
stupid
much.
options.
Yeah, very much. You're seeing a lot of Neverwinter Nights in that. So, let's talk about those characters, and since we're pivoting off of gameplay, let's talk about the meta. Star, since you've played it far longer than I have, could you tell me what is the meta for the party composition?
For me, you need Win as the best healer. Unless you're playing a mage, then you can make your mage more optimal than Win. So, go one of those two for your healers, because Morgan, unfortunately, as much as I love her, not good at healing, or at least can't be as good. I use Sten as my tank, personally, because
I prefer Alistair, but yeah.
Sten has the companion gift healing item, the Book of the Dead item, that just revives everyone for no cost as long as Sten is alive, and it's really easy to keep Sten alive for a long period of time. He just is naturally that strong. And you can build beat tankier as well. If you're not doing that as seen as a cheat, fair enough. I would put Alistair then in that situation. And I use Liliana or Zevran pretty interchangeably depending on the mood I'm in or what encounter I'm going up against.
That seems about right.
Oh, sometimes I use Shale as a tank if I want to be fun and experimental.
You use Shale?
Shale's a really good tank.
I guess. It's just kind of weird.
If I'm playing on non-Nightmare difficulties, I'll probably end up using just Oghren, Morgan all the time. Because they don't see much play on my Nightmare playthroughs.
Alright, so now that we've got the meta out of the way, favorite companions of Origins?
Definitely a dog.
Dog's a good choice.
I said before, and I'll say it again, I like Alistair. I also like Zevran, too.
I don't have a character that I hate in Origins. I would say they're all really good characters, with the exception of Shale. I gotta go Morgan, just because of, everything with her personal quest at the end of the game. I don't know. Have you finished it, Gator?
No, I have not. I kind of lost interest in it.
First off, fuck you. Fuck you.
Also, excuse me.
You heard me. You heard me.
So anyways. I guess I got your least favorite star, which was Shale.
Lumia. Yeah. Least interesting narrative, least interesting character.
Personally, in addition to Shale, probably Oghren, because he's just not interesting either.
I find him funny. He makes me laugh.
Yeah, but I mean,
he's no Alistair, Zevran, Morgan, Liliana, Wynn. Look, there's just too many good characters, and I can understand why you'd put Oghren at the bottom. But
yeah,
Oghren also just unfortunately near the bottom of my list as well, because all those characters are much more interesting than Oghren.
All right, last thing, the visuals. The visuals when
this game looks like ass.
There's no way to sugarcoat it. It reminds me of Oblivion, which also isn't very good in the visual department. It's kind of desaturated, and as far as default graphics go, you'll find that there's a lot of blood. Not that I mind, it's just kind of distracting when you're talking to, like, Trader Joe and everybody's caked in blood.
I disagree. I love the game for that, and I wish every other Dragon Age game did that. Give me the blood. I want to be covered in the guts of my enemies.
Oh, yes, that sounds exhilarating.
You get it.
Darn right.
My man.
Well, I mean, if it's gonna be that bloody, they have to do it No More Hero style and have everybody be freaking fountains.
That would be even better, actually.
Go for it. I wouldn't mind.
So, final thoughts on Origins?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Origins is one of my favorite games of all time. Uh, it looks like ass. I can admit that. But the basic characters that you get from this and the way they were all developed later on, we didn't even get to talk about like the side characters like Cullen, whose entire character through all of Dragon Age is incredible for, him going from like a lowly knight to a heroic champion later on in life just is incredible. And this game has great
Cullen's
writing.
one of those characters that's just through the series entirely.
Oh, and if you play as like a female mage in the beginning, you can romance him, and he talks about you in DA2, and then he still talks about you in DA3. I love shit like that. Yeah, like not that like he mentions like his lost love that he felt like he could never have.
Well, that's Bioware for you. Remember Mass Effect?
I never forgot Mass Effect. I love Mass Effect as well.
Exactly.
I also love KOTOR.
We may have to talk about that series, but I think that would be something that Stargazer would basically be.
Let me replay the entire trilogy. Just give me like a 2 weeks heads up notice.
Well, what about Andromeda?
Gosh dang.
I'm not gonna play Andromeda. If I can get it for $1, I'll play Andromeda. But I'm not gonna play fucking Andromeda. I'm not gonna give bankrupt Bioware money unless they're making a
so
good
anyways,
game.
my
Like
thoughts
SWTOR.
on Origins, really interesting. There are a few sections that drag really hard for me, like the Mage Tower and the Deep Roads, but otherwise, if you can just get through those, it's a otherwise very good game.
Yeah, overall, I think it's a really fun game, Origins, even though I forgot about it a couple years back. But I got back to it again. I might just finish it this time. Carries a pretty neato.
Have fun. Have fun.
All right, next on the list is Dragon Age 2. I don't know too much about it. I do know that it was basically when EA took over and said, "Okay, we're going to have another game." And they gave them an extremely close deadline, didn't give them a lot of time to really make the game that they wanted to make, at least to the point of where they wanted it to be. And it seemed to have suffered for it, at least that's what I've heard, because I didn't play it. I got really late into the series very late, like around Inquisition. So when I go and look, what game should I play first? They say, not 2.
I would say play in chronological order.
Naturally.
Yeah, pretty much. Skip Legends. No one talks about it. It's boring. Oh yeah, but Dragon Age 2 is a game that is only worth one playthrough, because after a playthrough, I can never bring myself to go back and play it again, because every time I do, I just remember, I'm going to be stuck in this town for the entire time. Kirkwall's a cool place, lore-wise. I really like the lore built around it, but I can never convince myself to play more than 20 minutes again. The gameplay is MOE combat in the worst sense. Like, you press a button, you get to see the cool animation, but you'll be seeing it throughout the entire game. There are cool combos, like you could mix fire and ice magic to do big burst effects. I really like that concept. I think Inquisition does that better.
Yeah, it does.
And it's not even that the story's bad, it's just continuing themes of Dragon Age Origins. The underlining theme of mages versus Templars just keeps going on. It's the more direct
almost
plot.
To a crippling extent, at least from what I've seen.
It was just like the main plot of the game. I kind of forgot a lot of details, and I do like the idea of your characters growing older over the period of 10 years.
Yeah.
I thought it was a cool concept. It's just, it feels rushed in a lot of ways. It's just not fun to play, in a sense. It, looks decent. I'm looking at it again, and I think I'm with you, Nathan. I think Inquisition is the best looking one.
Hey, winning you over.
I just looked at pictures of 2, and it looks worse than I remember.
Yeah, because I look back at... I know we're doing this a little bit out of order for talking points, but we might as well, since we're on the subject of visuals. It does... They really are taking a bit from MMO RPGs, not just in gameplay, but also in visuals. Like, Just look at the pauldrons of everyone.
Well, you got to remember, at this point, Bioware had made their big MMO SWTOR at the time. So,
oh yeah,
I can imagine that they would have that aesthetic going on, or at least not that aesthetic. That would make sense to build their games in that sense already.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also a bit more extreme with this. I mean, just look at Hawk. Just look at his asymmetrical freaking.
I like Hawk. I like how he looks. I think it's funny and cute.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. It's kind of against the overall tone. It's like,
oh yeah, definitely.
Ooh, this is Dragon Age 2. We're bloodier. We're more serious. Mages versus Templars. Look at my asymmetrical outfit.
Look, Dragon Age 2 does a good few things right. So, like, Colin's continuation of a story. The only reason to play the game, honestly, gotta continue. Colin, he's an important figure. Yeah.
Him and Sandal.
I guess Sandal's there. Yeah. I don't know. I don't replay this game. All the side quests are not fun to redo because you kind of feel like imply that you have to do all the side quests because if you go to the next era of the game, of the 3 acts, if you can pass it, you'll lose the ability to do some side quests, which makes sense. But you just feel obliged to do all the side quests.
Ooh, not good.
Yeah, and some of them are really lame. Dude, there's a few cool storylines, but I don't remember any of them. Besides, Colin.
All right, so party composition, if you can really call that. I know you only did.
I've not played a Nightmare playthrough this game. I think if I recall, I probably use Meryl, Aveline, and whoever else. I don't think it matters. I haven't played. No, Anders is the healer. Anders is the broken healer in the game.
Oh yeah, because he was in Awakening.
Yeah, because he inherits a lot of Wynn's powers because he has the spirit of justice, which Wynn had it on her. Or at least I'm assuming it's the same spirit of justice because I don't think there's multiple. I haven't looked into that honestly. Yeah. The characters in this game are there's some good ones. We get Varric is introduced in this game.
Oh yes, he's definitely my favorite. That's why I have him under favorite companions here, and not an Inquisition.
I liked Meryl and Isabel a lot as well.
I hear they're okay.
I like them. They're not Origins quality. Isabel does appear in Origins, but it's a very short second, and she looks much better in this game than she did in Origins. Because I didn't realize it was the same girl. Because you meet her at a brothel, and in Origins there's a sequence. If your dexterity's high enough and you have a decent relationship going on with Zevran and Liliana, you can have a 3-way.
Oh,
no, a 4-way. It's a 4-way because you're having those two plus yourself and Isabel.
That's crazy.
I've only gone the 3-way. I've heard the 4-way exists, but I've never achieved it.
Wow.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
I did not know that was possible.
Oh yeah, it's one of like the small minor things of Origins that you can just do randomly for no reason. But it requires a very specific build of dex. You have to be a dex-based build, have decent charisma. It's
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Before we get back to the DA2, Hawk's brother and sister, they're pretty bad. They're pretty bad.
So they're the least favorite.
They're my least favorite. I like Fenris more than both of them. Fenris is just the obvious edge boy.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I don't like Fenris that much because he's like, mages. Mages are the problem with everything.
But he's got magic veins, and that's pretty dope.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Like, his visual design is actually pretty dang good, but I just hate him as a character.
I would have to replay the game to actually have a true opinion on Fenris.
Every other second, I like, it's a good thing you're voiced by that guy who played Balthier, or at least I think he is. Because otherwise, I'd punch him.
Oh yeah, Sebastian's also like one of the 2 DLC characters for this game.
Oh, he's the one with the Final Fantasy looking armor, right?
Yeah, he's the prince.
Yeah.
Yeah, and He kind of plays the generic prince character.
Yeah, if you don't think that the armor could get any more MMORPG, look at Sebastian.
Yeah, it's really funny. I part of me thinks that they were trying to make a Dragon Age MMO at some point. I don't think they are, but
Well, they kind of tried it with Inquisition to an extent.
yeah, when we get to Inquisition, I want to talk about the level design there because I have a lot of issues with it.
Oh yeah. Final thoughts on Dragon Age 2, which is basically just Star.
Hello. Dragon Age 2 is a game that the older I get and the more games I play, the less I value it as a game, and the less interested I am to ever return. Just because all the cool aspects about the game are just payoffs in either Inquisition or Origins, which is not a good incentive to play a game.
Yeah.
The gameplay looks cool, but it's not as there's not as much deepness to the combat like there is in Origin, and it's significantly less fun than Inquisition. So it just finds itself in this poor position where it's like it's not worth coming back to ever. If you're interested in completing all the Dragon Age games, it's not awful. It's just like the bare minimum of what I would call a worthwhile game. Because there are good storylines in it. Varric and Hawke's friendship is worth a playthrough at the very least.
Yeah.
For that.
It's basically the prelude to Inquisition.
Well, yeah, because one of the main events comes from the DLC, and I have not played any of the DLC from 2.
Understandable.
I did want to spend more money on the game. I do have one cool thing about this game though is that it's the strategy book they made for the game is like the book that Cassandra is reading from the entire time. And it's just a badass strategy book. I have it somewhere in my collection. I love it.
Oh yeah, I forgot that Cassandra debuted in this game.
This is there is also a movie about Cassandra in her early youth.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Well, anyways, we should get on to Inquisition, which I have the most to say about.
Awesome. I've done 2 playthroughs of Inquisition.
I have done, as far as full playthroughs, maybe 2 or 3 of them.
I should have said this in Origins. I've done 16 full playthroughs of Origins.
Holy crap.
I counted.
Nice.
Well, dang, dude.
Yeah, it was my favorite game for a while, and then I fell in love with KOTOR, and then fell in love with some other games.
All right, so back to Inquisition. The synopsis, I will actually do it because I'm confident enough, I've played the game enough to understand it. So first you play as some random person who walks into this conclave that's supposed to be peace talks between the mages and Templars because they've been feuding for the past few years because of what happens in Dragon Age 2. Thanks
what
a
happened
lot.
in Dragon Age 2?
You remember he blows up the Chantry and starts the war.
Because Dragon Age says fuck the church.
Yeah. So basically, they're at this conclave, which is headed by the Divine, who's like basically their pope, and the whole conclave blows up because of certain reasons, which is spoiler territory, and I won't actually spoil that because that's a rabbit hole. But basically, you're this one person that you kind of get stuck with the blame. You're back to being able to customize your character because in 2 you couldn't do that. Now you have all these origins. It's also the first time you can play one of the Qunari, which is really nice because you really couldn't prior to it. They were a little too difficult to pull off as far as their horns and whatnot. But now, hey, we've got it.
Well, Sten didn't have horns.
Well, yeah, he didn't have horns because of limitations.
Is that true that they had horns in Origins? Because I think they retconned that.
I think they were removed because I remember Sten having horns. I think it was like they removed them because of reasons, apparently with the helmets and whatnot.
Yep.
Well, yeah, no, I get the technical limitations. I just thought like initially they didn't have horn, or maybe they didn't initially have horns, and they added later on they just retcon that Sten lost his horns.
I thought he was born without them.
Yeah, he was born without them, and because he was born without them, he has some sort of great destiny.
Oh, okay.
But anyways,
Sten did become the greatest Qunari ever.
I guess.
No argument there.
As like a warrior thing. Don't get me wrong, I love Iron Bull too.
Yeah, we'll get to the bull. But anyways, back on topic. So that happens. You kind of get blamed for it, but then everybody realizes there's no way in hell you could have done it because it's because what happens after the conclave explodes is that there's a giant hole in the sky that connects the Fade, which is sort of an afterlife, but not really, to the mortal realm. And so demons start pouring from it. And it's your job, at least for the first half of the game, to close the breach. And you wind up joining the Inquisition, which I forget its actual origins, but it's basically an organization mandated by one of the divines in order to just restore the peace and stuff like that. Later on, however, you realize that the whole conclave explosion was organized by this guy called Corypheus, who is a old magister who wants to rule the world. Of course he does. Of course he does.
He was a DLC villain in 2.
Yeah.
That explains why I was very confused when I was playing Inquisition. I was wondering who the fuck Corypheus was.
Yeah. It's like, oh, he was this one guy who was encased in red lyrium or some shit like that. But anyways, he just goes around doing stupid stuff, and you'll wind up killing him, of course, through help. And it's an okay story. There's some good parts, and there's some bad parts. That, like, for every in Hushed Whispers, there's just like, it's very spotty, and that's also because of the development. Because this too was kind of rushed, and also the BioWare team had a bit of an issue with the game engine because it was on Frostbite. It is an engine that's primarily made for first-person shooters, and Dragon Age is a role-playing game, so you would have to create a whole bunch of stuff like generally third-person controls, a proper user interface for party management, inventory management. All that had to be built from the ground up. And then they also decided to use, wide open areas because open world games were quite the trend at the time. And it just got messy.
As open world games go, this has some of the most poor and least interesting open worlds that I've played.
Yeah, there's just a lot of empty space.
There's cool areas that you can obviously tell are detailed, like when you go back to Redcliffe is very fun and amazing, but it's so small because you can tell they were focusing on other aspects. And when you compare to Redcliffe of Origins, it just feels about the same size, which it shouldn't feel that way because Redcliffe's supposed to be a big city.
You're going to the next generation. You should make it a little bit bigger. Things should.
Because I assumed, like everyone else did, that this is just to get the idea across, like in Pokemon.
Yeah. Well, I think also another problem with Redcliffe is that, if I'm not mistaken, it was part of the Hinterlands. And the Hinterlands is probably the most infamous area of Origins because it's so freaking big. And it's the first map in the game that you actually get to explore. And
it's also the least interesting of them.
Yeah, it is. Because it's just green hills.
Like, I do like the second area, which is like, Storm Coast area. That was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that Storm Coast is freaking awesome.
Oh, well, actually, was called Storm Coast. I forgot what the name.
I think the Emerald Graves are pretty neat looking, except for the fact that there's not much to do there.
And I don't like that you have to do a certain amount of side quests, all of which are not that interesting to progress the story.
Yeah.
And then it has a very... feels like it was supposed to be a microtransaction thing, but it wasn't, which is just you had to wait for your armies to do stuff.
Yeah, that was annoying.
So on my second playthrough, I just sped my computer time up so I could get everything done. Because, I'm not going to wait.
As far as, like, moment-to-moment gameplay, it is pretty dang smooth, like we've mentioned before. Doing combos is nice. There's a bit more class balance than what was in Origins, because in Origins it was basically mage or die. Now things are a
No.
bit more viable.
No, you could make... No, rogues were really broken.
Okay, so not warrior or die.
Warriors were pretty much... Okay, so all classes were fine in Origins. Like, the warrior
Okay.
was... The warrior had, like, two builds, pretty much. You had the tank build, which did no damage, or you had the two-handed build, which did all the damage. Dual wielding did not work for warriors. If you were rogue, it was really on you to make sure to set yourself up in good positions to get those big hits in.
Mhm.
That's why Zevran's so good, because it's all about backstabbing.
Well, crap.
You gotta be on that. If not, your rogues are gonna do nothing. And mages require a lot of setup time and a lot of protection.
Oh yeah.
That was how the balance of it worked out in Origins.
I guess I gotta
Here it's a
redo my
little bit
character.
better.
Sorry, what?
Guess I redo my character, a dual-wielding warrior.
It's not impossible. I mean, I did one.
I'm talking about like on nightmare difficulty.
Oh. Okay, never mind.
Like, yeah. If you're playing on normal, you're fine with anything you do.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that's, easy. There's hard fights in there. All the dragon fights, are insanely hard.
Yeah.
I know.
But yeah, as far as class balance goes, I'd say that there's always going to be stuff that's less practical than others. Like for the rogue, I don't think too many people do the artificer or mage. Not too many people do necromancer, because that's just, by the time, like if you're playing on normal difficulties, by the time you're done with a fight, you've probably got like one zombie at most.
What saddens me about the necromancer is that they did they get rid of my favorite spell in the game, which was the make explode guy?
I think they still have that.
Hell, okay, that was the best spell in Origins, because that was so much fun if you could get a big combo going. The way it worked was you put the spell on someone, you then killed them, and then it would spread, he would explode, doing damage to everyone else, thus spreading the disease, thus creating a giant chain reaction.
I don't think it was to that extent, though.
It was hard to get it going off perfectly, but it was one of the abilities you could do. It was really funny if you could pull it off.
But I don't know. I don't play Necromancer. I play the freaking Night Enchanter because...
Well, Night Enchanter was broke. Night Enchanter was broken for a while, where you could just, like, beat bosses by yourself.
It's still pretty freaking good.
Could you
now that we're talking about,
bosses by yourself?
The meta, let's talk about party composition in Inquisition. So, Star.
Viviana, no one else. You're good. Night Enchanter was broken when I played the game. I'm sure they've probably nerfed it by now, and I honestly don't know how to play. She's not a god on the battlefield, because all you do is spam the sword attack and you win.
I mean, you still kind of do that.
It's really not fun if that's all you do still.
I mean, you have to be a little bit more attentive now. Now you have to use circle, which I map to like a dodge or something like that.
If I had to make a guess, since it's been a while, I'd probably be Blackwall's the tank, because he's a stupidly good tank. My character was a warrior in my first playthrough, so he was the Blackwall equivalent, so I didn't really use Blackwall.
Okay, that's understandable.
Because Blackwall is the best tank in the game. His thing is just so good for just absorbing damage. I probably take Vivian as my damage dealer. Varric or Cole. And the last character... Who's the healer? There's no healing magic in this game, I forgot. They got rid of that.
So
I forgot they got rid of that.
Yeah, you can't really do healing. Like, I think it's... you get a little bit of regen with the Spirit Path.
Probably Solus, I think, was really good.
Yeah, because he's pretty good with spirit stuff.
Yeah, Rift Magic was really good as well.
Yeah.
Have you tried the DLCs for Origins?
I played them all and beat them all. Awakening is a mandatory playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that in mind.
I would play... Awakening is mandatory. There's like one where you go into like Dwarven Ruins in Origins, and it's the hardest DLC I know that it came out. And I still have not beaten on Nightmare. That's the only thing I haven't beaten on Nightmare Dragon Age Origins. It's stupidly hard, and I've not found a solution to that.
All right, so
I need to get better.
So my party composition is pretty much similar. Blackwall for tank, probably either Cole or Sarah, even though I don't really like Sarah for rogue because, I mean, she's got the Tempest, and Tempest is top tier, but it's Sarah. I don't like Sarah, and we'll get to her. There will be a reckoning for Sarah. The rest is, as far as mage goes, I think for my first playthrough I got locked into Dorian because Vivian was elected the Divine, and Solus abandons you at the end of the game, so...
Aww.
Yeah.
Not being a mage, shaking my head.
Well, I played a Knight Enchanter anyways, so...
That was my second character.
But yeah, favorite companions, I've got quite a few. I really like Cole, he's freaking adorable, and I wish nothing bad happens to him ever. Dorian is also very fun. And of course the Iron Bull, also incredibly fun. Total bro. Love him to death. And then there's Solus, but that's for very spoilerific reasons. Highly spoilerific reasons.
My favorite is Varric, Cassandra, and Blackwall. Iron Bull I put in the same category as Sten because he makes me laugh a lot. Blackwall because Grey Wardens are the best organization. They did nothing wrong ever.
Even Adamant?
Who's Adamant again?
The freaking incident where they were summoning demons and using blood magic to bind them.
Nothing wrong. I don't know what you heard that didn't go with that.
Alright,
Look,
so
blood
least
magic
favorite
is-
companions.
I didn't finish. And Cassandra,
right.
because she is the best companion romance tier, because we all know who the best real romance character in this game is. It's my boy Cullen!
Of course.
Or Josephine. You can't really hate on romancing Josephine, which is the cutest fucking thing in this game.
Oh yeah, did that on my second character. Freaking sword duel to the death.
I've seen it. I've watched it. I've not played it myself, unfortunately. I do want to romance Dorian and want to play through one day, because I have not gotten a lot of time with Dorian, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we can do least favorite. So I don't like Vivian as much. I get her character, but she just kind of...
We can just cut to the fact that we all hate Sarah the most.
Yeah.
As
Sarah
the
is...
worst Dragon Age character ever.
I mean, it's one thing to be racist to elves and be an elf. Like, that's one thing, but, you know, there's just no inner conflict with her. It's basically my way or the highway, and everything else that is not the Chantry is just bogus.
I miss Meryl.
Well, screw her, yeah.
Like, oh, that's too elfy. Or, oh, put an arrow in it. Because I don't understand it.
I don't like
Magic
her.
is dangerous because I don't understand it. I mean, sure, with Dragon Age, there's a whole bunch of reasons why magic's not trusted, but I mean, my goodness, Sarah.
I can believe anyone who says they don't trust magic in Dragon Age. Because they're always proven right.
I know.
Consistently.
Like, that's understandable, but Sarah's just...
No, I hate Sarah as the most... Like, I don't like Shale. Like, I do like Shale. I just like Shale significantly more than I hate Sarah.
Yeah.
Like, the image of her looks like a bitch face that I want to say fuck you to on the wiki. It's
That
been a while,
is
so I have to
no.
pull it up.
Sarah's faces. The only time she looks good is on her card art.
Let me see. Oh, do you already have it? Oh, damn. No, that was the picture I was talking about. She looks like a bitch.
Yeah.
Oh crap.
Yeah, no, she looks shit there. Oh yeah, these card arts. Yeah, well, these are really cool aesthetically.
Well, yeah, the cart. You know what? We might as well use that to pivot into the visuals because my goodness, the visuals in Inquisition are really good, especially those cards. They really make things flavorful.
Um, I wouldn't say the visuals are very good because I find the game overall to be like. I mean, I think it's good looking. I just don't think it's like extremely visually impressive to me. If you know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, they again had a lot of trouble with Frostbite.
Yeah.
That said, just the overall style of it is
Yeah.
appealing. I think they've really come into their own. There's a
No,
bit
I-
of that MMO influence, but it's not as bad anymore.
But this card art is insane and it is beautiful. I completely forgot about this. This is the best thing about this game.
Oh yeah, undoubtedly, and they change depending on the relationship you have with.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's always cool.
literally Kino. Literally Kino. No, my issue with the visuals is I remember having a lot of issues with rubber hair in this game.
Oh yeah, that's really bad. Yeah, that is the one. In fact, I think that's a problem with Dragon Age in general. They've always had issues with hair.
Which is weird because I don't recall that issue being in Mass Effect, but that could just be because it's been forever since I played Mass Effect.
That might be the case.
Might be. I know KOTOR didn't have that issue. But we'll save that if we ever talk about KOTOR, which is the best BioWare game.
All right, so final thoughts on Inquisition. I know it was I may be a bit biased because it was my entry into the series, but I mean, if you can play it on something it was optimized for, it will be less painful. I did not. I played it on the PS3, and I regret it.
I played on PC.
Yeah, that's probably the best experience for it.
I played it never.
It's a good game.
Yeah.
It has good BioWare writing that you can expect. It has good characters.
Except Sarah.
Look, one bad character doesn't make the entire game's characters bad.
Well, yeah.
Like Cassandra is a character in this game. Colin comes back
As a major player.
for the first time in his life, which is big to me. Probably doesn't care, but for you, Nathan, since you didn't literally spend 6 years just like saying this is your favorite side character in a game, means more to me for that. Josephine's great. Blackwall's great because more Grey Wardens is always good, and Logain comes back, which is really fun. And Hawk, if you're a big Hawk fan.
Yeah.
I like Hawk, but he's my least favorite protagonist.
I mean, yeah. But that's just generally stuff for Dragon Age 2, so.
Well,
What do you
yeah.
expect?
He comes back, which is pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the Warden to become the playable character again.
That's probably not going to happen very soon.
I know. No, they deconfirmed it. They said it was never going to happen in Inquisition.
Anyways,
Where did he go?
let's talk about Dragon Age 4, which hasn't come out yet. I am super scared because of what's happened in between Inquisition and this game. Because in between that was Andromeda. And oh goodness, if you haven't heard of what happened to Andromeda, you've probably been living under a rock.
Also, most of BioWare's writing team has left. I mean, they've been
Yeah.
living for a while. But the writers that they have left, from what I recall seeing, they're doing. I'm sure they're doing fine work. It's just I'm scared for the future of BioWare, so I have little faith in 4 at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Andromeda was mismanaged for a good chunk of their development period. Like, they did a whole bunch of stuff in pre-production, and it just... By the time they understood what they wanted to do, they were saddled again with the Frostbite engine, which we all know isn't that great. And then they had, like, a year or two to finish the game.
Well,
And
we
it
know
came
whose
out
fault this
rough.
really is. It's not really BioWare's fault. It's more EA's fault for
Yeah,
not giving them the
that's kind of
resources
a
and time they need.
And then there was Anthem, which is a similar issue. Like, it languished in pre-production for way too long.
Oh yeah,
You
I've heard
also
that's
had
a
the
game.
Frostbite, which, again, they had to make all the proper assets. They had to have all the proper code for doing the stuff they wanted it to do. And they had basically like 18 odd months to actually make the game.
BioWare Austin's they're doing pretty well, actually.
What did they do recently?
They've been working on one game as far as SWOTOR. They've been continuing making the one MMO they actually have.
Ah,
Which I haven't played, but I've heard good things about the most recent expansion. I just need to get around to it because I'm playing through it again right now.
neat.
And I forgot. Oh shit! This game is a really good BioWare game.
So,
The first expansion, before the first expansion.
but as far as Dragon Age 4 is concerned, what we do know is that it was going to be kind of like this spy thing into Winter, which sounded really cool, but then it got, reworked. And the last thing I heard of it, like, some of the announcers said, oh, it's going to be like Anthem with dragons, and Anthem wasn't very good, so
Whoa.
I'm kind of concerned there.
That's not reassuring at all.
Dragon. Look, I get the French is called Dragon Age, but we really gotta really talk about this. Dragons aren't supposed to exist anymore. Like, canonically, in the Dragon Age era, it's called the Dragon Age because dragons are all dead.
Yet, in most of the games, don't you fight at least a couple of dragons?
In one, it's because of it's a mage who turns into a dragon. I won't spoil. The second one is technically a quote-unquote deity.
Yeah,
that one is not confirmed. The Archdemon is not a dragon. That is a Darkspawn. That is how Darkspawns work. In 2, I don't know why the fuck there's a dragon. It shouldn't be there. Same with Inquisition. The dragons that are there should not be there.
Yeah.
This era is defined by the lack of dragons in the lore. Unless I have a major misunderstanding of the lore, dragons are supposed to be, like, either near extinct. There should be less dragons than there were in Inquisition. I know that much.
Yeah, because there's at least a dozen of them.
Huh.
Yeah. Let me...
Like, with Corypheus, I can understand, like, he's old, he probably has that dragon from an earlier era. That's fine. Heck, even the one you get from, like, the Shrine of Mythal, it's like, oh, it's probably really old. But all the other ones that are just out there in the wild?
Okay, I had a misunderstanding. I went to the wiki. There was a dragon sighting by one of the divines, and that's what caused the new Dragon Age. I don't know where I got my misunderstanding from. I do know dragons are supposed to be more rare than they actually are, though.
Yeah.
Kind of like cryptid.
Yeah.
So on the whole, what do you think about Dragon Age as a series?
Like, as a franchise? It's one of my favorite franchises. I love the lore so much. I found my misunderstanding. Let me fix my misunderstanding first. Sorry, Nathan, for all the weird editing you have to do. It was thought that dragons had been hunted to extinction.
What editing?
Oh, well. Sorry, folks. So it was thought that dragons had gone extinct by dragon hunters during the Steel Age, but they reappeared randomly. That's what caused the age. Okay. That explains my misunderstanding. So my entire complaint, take that away. Makes sense now. Yeah, that's weird. But I guess the deity dragon probably is just a dragon. Either way, doesn't matter. I like Dragon Age a lot. It's a really cool franchise. It's not my favorite franchise anymore like it was before. I've played too many better franchises like the Souls franchise or the Yakuza franchise. Stuff like that. They're more consistent with their games.
Yeah. Whereas
Dragon Age is a very inconsistent franchise.
Oh, please. talk about inconsistent. My good sir, I'm a Final Fantasy and Sonic fan. We are not consistent whatsoever.
Well, Final Fantasy is consistent in the fact that there's no consistency between the games.
Well, kind of.
I
But
think
that's a definite story for another day.
Look, we'll talk about Final Fantasy. Just give me a chance to play like 6, 7, 6, 8, 9, 10. Then I can join in. Give me a half a year.
But my thoughts on it, yeah, it's a good series. If you really are into role-playing games, definitely give it a look. Skip 2 if you really want to have a good time with it. But if you're super diehard, I want to finish the entire trilogy, just play through it once. Only. And the rest of it's alright. Just make sure you play it on PC because that is basically the definitive experience for Dragon Age.
Just like KOTOR.
And I think, to an extent, BioWare's fate lies in Dragon Age's hands. Because if it does bad, I don't think there's going to be much else out of BioWare.
I think if that happens, I think BioWare Austin will still be producing, because as far as I'm aware, they're doing good enough.
Yeah. But I think that's it.
Dragon Age 4? Never.
Anyways, next time I'll actually do a design dungeon thing on something, whenever that is. Freaking like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.
Hi, Mr.